Good morning, Melissa from Going My Own Pace here, and I thought I would do a bit of a chatty catch up because it's been a long time since we chatted, and a lot of things have been going on. I am drinking coffee in my Mickey Mouse mug, which is applicable because I am going to tell you about our trip to LA, which includes a trip to Disney. But actually, this coffee is coffee I made at home with my new coffee machine, which I'm very excited about. I haven't had a coffee machine in the house for some time. This is a manual machine, and so like I frothed the milk and everything like a barista. There's no flavoring in this, and it is so good. So I'm a happy lady, but I actually have cream on my fingers because I accidentally steamed my fingers. But I got frothed milk. So anyway, here we are. So much has been going on. So we're at the end of the very long summer holidays here. So I've had like 6 weeks home with children. And I've taken a lot of leave from my part-time job so that I didn't have to try and figure out childcare because look, even if I could find something that all 4 children would go to, it would cost an arm and a leg and not be worth it. But there isn't anything. I would be lucky to find something for the 3 big ones, let alone the little ones. So no childcare. The holidays feel long, but it's been nice. It's been nice and not as hot. So I haven't been as sick, but I also think I'm more resilient. So let's maybe talk some context. So it's been 18 months since I had my hysterectomy and endometriosis excision surgery. At that point, I was really sick. I don't know why, but after my 4th baby, when my periods resumed, they were brutal and they had always been bad. And I'd been back and forth to doctors many, many times, but they were brutal and I was just wasting away. Like I just lost like 8 kilograms, and I'm not a very big person in general, so percentage wise that was a lot. And I just wasn't well at all and wasn't coping, and in the end we had to pay out of pocket to see a private specialist because the public system is so overrun. That at that time there was a huge wait list, and at this time they're not even seeing people who aren't, like, it's not suspected cancer and stuff. So I'm lucky it was done. But after that surgery, my sacroiliac joints were really bad, so my lower back pain was really horrific. And after a few months, I started seeing a chiropractor because, again, let down by the public system. And the chiropractor was able to say, hey, your sacroiliac joints are out of place. And so I've been seeing her for just over a year now. And the chiropractic treatments have been really helping. And we realized that a big part of my condition, and probably the underlying cause of everything, is the hypermobility. So thanks to that chiropractor, we were able to get a diagnosis. So at the very end of 2024, I got a diagnosis of hypermobility spectrum disorder, and the fibromyalgia is wiped off the record. But in the last 18 months, things have really been improving. So I have to think that the pain and the inflammation and the trauma of the endometriosis and the awful periods were a big underlying thing. And then starting to keep my sacroiliac joints in place, working on my neck. I've had long held pain and tension in my neck for years. It has been like a big thing, like all day, every day, my neck has been a problem. And it's like we've moved away all these layers of tension, and now we actually get to my neck. And it is hypermobile, like everything else, but it's improving. So now I'm in a really good place, actually, better than I have been ever that I remember, because my symptoms started very young. I have had symptoms for a very long time, so things are good. And while I still have a comprehensive protocol of things that I do, all the things that I share about here on the channel and on my blog and in my books, I don't have to do quite as much work, which is wonderful. So yeah, it's been great. And because of doing so well, I decided that I could take the risk and go on an overseas trip, which for someone who can't sit for long periods of time, someone who really struggles to sleep and doesn't historically sleep on planes at all, it's a big deal. But we chose to go on holiday to a place that will be one 12-hour plane ride, so no like switching in foreign countries, and mucking around in airports, and we're going to LA's winter. So their winter is just a tiny bit cooler than our summer, but without the humidity, and the humidity is what takes me down. So it was wonderful, and this is going to sound horrible, but there was no family members there, so it just meant that we had autonomy of time and place, which I needed. I've got a lot of things I needed to do. I needed to be able to have my bed and my pillow set up a certain way. I needed to crash when I needed to crash, and all of that kind of thing. So we left the littlest one because a 3-year-old doesn't need to be dragged around all over the place. And after a lot of research, I noticed that a Disney trip for a 3-year-old or a preschooler is a very different trip than for the big kids. And it turned out really well because my 6-year-old, there was only one ride the 6-year-old couldn't go on. So he got to do everything his big brothers did. And there wasn't, because the big three are 6, 8, and 10, there wasn't as much pressure on me to look after them. They're pretty self-sufficient. They shower by themselves. They eat pretty well. Actually, the biggest problem with food was me because I don't know if it's Americans or just Californians, but they don't really get dairy intolerance. So at the first hotel for the free breakfast, I had to go to the kitchen and they had to like pour me a glass of oat milk, and then I had to use that across whatever I wanted, whether it was porridge or in my coffee. And at the second hotel, there was nothing. And like we went to, I think it was Olive Garden, and there's like 30 mains or something, and only one of them was dairy free. Even the meatballs had dairy somehow. But I wasn't taking chances, because when you're away on a trip, the last thing you want to do is end up with the equivalent of a severe stomach bug for me. So anyway, we were careful with that. We had a lot of that autonomy. But the amazing thing is that I managed to sleep on the plane. Look, we got upgraded to business. I mean, I just don't think I would have coped in economy. So my back was happy, and I slept a bit. I think on the way there, I slept like maybe 5 or 6 hours, which for me on a plane is incredible. And it was enough to get me through. And we had a day to chill when we first got there. We were going to go to Warner Brothers, but because of the fires in LA, it was closed. So we stayed around Anaheim, which is where our first hotel was and where Disney is. And then we went to Disney, and it was so fun. Like, it's not, like, yes, it has fond childhood memories for me, right, with Disney and Minnie Mouse and stuff. I used to sleep with a Minnie Mouse toy from the time I was a tiny baby, and I still have it tucked away somewhere. And I loved it so much that it started to fall apart. So my nana had to like knit it this little like garment to hold it together. So I've loved Minnie Mouse for a long time, but I just was so happy to see my kids make these memories. I was a bit nervous, but we did some smart things, and I'm going to share about that in a separate video and blog post for you all, because it's not just about Disney, is it? It's all about, there's some applicable lessons, but I put on my compression socks, which I shared about on Instagram while I was away. And so what we did is we walked from our hotel to, there's a shuttle, a Toy Story line shuttle where you get on for free, and you can do your security there before you get on the shuttle. So when you get to Disney, you just walk in. So at rope drop, we just walked in. So no lines there. And it was really magical walking in to Disney for the first time. Just looking at all the shops and everything. It was amazing. Horse-drawn carriage. And what we did on the first day was go back to the hotel for a nap, and then go back for the evening. But what I realized is we used about 5,000 steps just for going out and coming back again. So while it was wonderful to have the nap and the break, the second day we didn't go back for the nap. So the second day we stayed as long as we could, and then went back. I think it was about 4 o'clock we got back to the hotel, and I crashed hard. But the wonderful thing is that I just crash hard, do a decent yoga nidra, and then I was okay for the evening. And we just really stayed local, had dinner, and went to bed really. And a lot of legs up time. But surprisingly, we did like 20,000 steps a day at Disney. And although I felt it, like I knew I was doing a lot of exercise and I was tight and my feet really hurt, afterwards I didn't get the pain I usually get. So even like here, if I do say one extra walk or a couple of thousand extra steps than I'm used to, then I will get this burning pain in my legs and my glutes, and it would be agonizing. And burning and nothing would really help. I'd be like massaging and putting on creams and having Epsom salt baths and taking medication, and then it would eventually go off. I did not have this. And I think the compression socks really helped with the fatigue and the orthostatic intolerance, like so much. So I'm going to be looking into that. I've already got a report available on PayHip that you can grab, and later in the year it'll be on my blog when I've got space there, because I've already planned ahead quite a lot. But the moral of the story is consider compression socks and research them, because they did good things for me. It was amazing. And then I think we had a day's break, and then we went, a day's break, and then we went to look around Balboa Park and a Japanese tea garden and the museum, which was a fair amount of walking that day. And then the next day I went to San Diego Zoo, which was a huge amount of walking. Again, my compression socks totally saved the day. So it was incredible. So we've come back, and it didn't take me too much time to readjust. My body still is wanting to go to bed late and get up late, because it was you're a day behind but 3 hours ahead when you go over there. So now I'm wanting to stay up late and get up late. So I'm a little bit tired, and my what do you call it? My heart rate variability. Oh my gosh, my heart rate variability is quite low. So actually I've been learning about that too, and I'm in the middle of making a report, so I'll be sharing that soon when I have time. But my heart rate variability is very low, and that is a sign that you've been overdoing it. It is a good indicator of post-exertion malaise, and obviously I'm tired. But I've learned that my heart rate variability should be around 40 before my age and gender and all that stuff, but it's usually around 30. So even when I'm doing very well, it's not very high, but it's not as low as it could be. But at the moment it's sitting around 20, 22. So I'm just trying to keep it casual, go back to my routine, do all of the things. Mr. Big Boy, my oldest guy, started intermediate today, so we dropped him off and went to a pōwhiri, which is a Māori kind of greeting where you bring the visitors and they become part of the people. So that was really special. And on Monday the others go back to school, so real life kind of properly starts next week. But anyway, so yeah, here we are. That was a big story. I hope that was interesting. Please let me know if you find these kind of updates at all interesting. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're interested in those reports, let me know which ones, and I can tell you either whether it's in progress or already here. And yeah, looking forward to 2025. I hope you are well, and I'll catch you again soon.